I didn't share, except with very doesn't.
I'd like to call to order the Dauphin County Board of Commissioners workshop meeting for Wednesday, March 5th, 2025. We'll begin with a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Next week, we'll be taking up the approval of minutes for February 19th workshop, February 26th legislative, February 26th salary board meeting. Executive meetings held between meetings. Mr. Pease.
Good morning, Commissioners. As you know, there were no executive sessions held between meetings.
Great. We'll now open it up for public participation. Just a reminder, we are live streaming our meeting. It is a 3-minute cap on public participation for agenda items only. We will have a later public participation time, but this is for agenda items only. Anyone for public participation on agenda items? Seeing none, we'll move on to directors and guests, and I'll hand it over to my colleague, Commissioner Harwick.
Thank you, Commissioner Douglas, and welcome to the advisory board members. I see we have 2 of them here. I do have Mr. Dorrance, who has been our chairman for quite some time, and we appreciate the level of service you provided, the direction to the advisory board, and announce your name as well, ma'am.
Gayla Molinelli.
Gayla Molinelli is also with us today, so they provide direction from an advisory board perspective, and it's their nomination actually as a result of that for National Social Work Month that we are able to be here today to honor our honoree and employee. We know that Children Youth as an organization has one of the most critical missions of any other in county government, to protect our most valuable young people who didn't ask to be put in the situation, unfortunately, sometimes they find themselves in. And the commitment to this work, the level of involvement, the high level of stress, the high level of educational requirements, and the heartfelt commitment to the level of service, I don't think could be demonstrated by somebody who has been in our organization now for 21 years in direct services. I think it's almost like being a dinosaur for 21 years. They call me the same thing. So the idea of you having stability, you've seen so much in your direct service career since you've been here, Amanda, and your passion has never left. The idea that you have a fire in your belly to serve others, and you are always thinking beyond sort of what is in front of us and what we are currently doing in order to figure out better ways to try to get upstream, to do prevention work, particularly in the school districts. You have really created a vision and a passion and a connection within the school districts in which you work to be able to engage parents and meet them where they're at. And quite frankly, it's different when you have a child who's being under investigation, or parents that are being under investigation. There's so much of a defensive position depending upon what's happening, somebody's experience with the system, the cultural challenges. But if you're able to engage and be able to support families in advance of our agency's involvement, that's really where we want to be. We want to figure out a way to stabilize, provide support, provide resources and help, because there is no key book to learning how to parent. And figuring out a way that we want to be here to support families, not just take children, is a message that we need to continue to not only embody, but we need to model that related to how we're working with families in order to try to find a stabilized way to protect our children. So we want to thank you for your years of service and passion. Amanda has come to us from via actually Cameron County High School, which I found out this morning. That's in Emporium, PA. Is that correct? Yep. I have my family has been in a camp in Cameron County for years, up next to the George B. Stevens Dam. So it's an interesting and beautiful place in Pennsylvania. But also, you did your undergraduate degree at Lock Haven University, and you've got your master's degree in social work at Temple University. So you've achieved obviously a high level of educational attainment, which has allowed you obviously the skill set and the ability. Unfortunately, those are required in order to advance and move on in the social work career. So again, I think your heart is, I think, evident to everybody you work with. And you certainly have built bridges and not burnt them in the school districts, which is a delicate balance over the course of time. And everywhere you've been, we've seen sort of a response that has been great, engaging, and you have been a great fit, you and your team. And I know we're even expanding your team as we speak. So it's my honor. A couple of other things. You do self-esteem groups, family outreach, monthly home visits, truancy visits with parents, and obviously, I think you're the backbone of the intake for the GPS unit as well. So we want to thank you for all that you model. And if before I do the proclamation, if I can, is there Kim or Stacy? Would you like to come up and make any kind of comments related to this? And Mr. Chairman, would you like to come up as well, or?
I think it's the most appropriate. Well,
Can have it.
I just thank commissioners for this opportunity, the annual opportunity, because this is Social Work Recognition Month. And it's appropriate to recognize Amanda. I will say that there's many qualified candidates for this. Amanda was our
Awesome.
so thank you. You're very eloquent words. I don't need to add anything else, including participation. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your service, Brad.
I just wanted to say a quick thank you to the Board of Commissioners, to the advisory board members, and to our Human Services Director, Randy Yeager. You know, without the support that we receive from all of these levels, we wouldn't be able to do this kind of work with the school outreach is a diversionary program. Amanda participated in that years ago, and then back in 2021, she was like, I want to bring it back. I have this passion. And she was able to take what we used to do, make it better, and then we began in the Central Dauphin School District in 2022. Just last year, we added Steel and Highspire, and our vision is we want to keep reaching out and adding on as the years go. The importance of getting these kids at that stage is huge. You know, we're addressing the things as we see them happen, and then they don't have to become part of a more intensive child welfare situation. So just thank you all for allowing us to be creative, and thank you, Amanda, absolutely, for the program you've created, and her staff's here too.
Couldn't do it without them.
Absolutely.
I'm going to follow up with an interesting story about how Amanda came to Dauphin County from that small community. She actually interned with Lycoming County, and at the conclusion, that was in 2003, at the conclusion of her internship, they didn't have an open position for her, which for Dauphin County would be the treasure chest of situations. But as luck would have it, they also, I just learned this, they helped to find her a job within the state of Pennsylvania. So they actually recruited for her and with her for another agency to take on her talents and skill sets. So she actually started in 2004. She had not been to Harrisburg but one time, to the big city. And here is where she is settled and where she just celebrated 21 years of service to the children and families of Dauphin County. So it's amazing that she took a chance and came to Dauphin County. We're very, very thankful. She has served in a variety of roles within our agency, all of direct service. So the 21 years, like Commissioner Hartwick said, is actually sort of dinosaur years in child welfare with frequent turnover. People tend to come into direct service and then move on and build, their partnerships and collaborations with other agencies and move on. But she stayed, and she stayed with an investment in the agency and in the county. She worked as an ongoing caseworker, a school outreach coordinator, intake caseworker, moved on to ongoing supervisor, intake supervisor, and in her current role as school outreach supervisor. She really built that program from the ground up. She had the vision, and she was given the creative opportunities to take that to the next level. But she still stays very connected to the mandate of our agency. So she used her skill set, her knowledge to build a good training program I believe it's referred to as the boot camp.
Yeah, I got the boot
But it's
camp.
effective. And we are proud to say that our GPS team is fully staffed with supervisors,
Awesome.
and she is dedicated to continuing to build that program as well. She is the backbone of not just the General Protective Services Department, but with the agency for the agency as a whole. Her outreach services within the school districts, it was noted she actually has two school districts and wants to build more. But just in this school year alone, they have fielded 226 referrals between both districts. And they aren't just working with students, they're working with the families. So they are, providing those prevention services. We want to be proactive, not reactive, and that's through the engagement of the students and their families. She's a dedicated child welfare professional. She lights up the building every day, I think, and we are proud to present her as our Employee of the Year.
Awesome. If it's appropriate, you want to give comments before I read the proclamation?
Morning, everyone. The need is there, the need is great, and the need is growing for our children and youth services here in Dauphin County and throughout the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And I think this board should, at the upcoming CCAP meetings, we should thank the Lycoming County Commissioners when we see them for allowing Amanda to come here and be part of our team for over 2 decades. What, did you start when you were 12? I mean, obviously working in children and youth is something that has been very good for you and very good for us. And we are the beneficiaries of your great work over the years. And what a great team assembled here. Brad and Gayla, thanks for serving on the board. Brad, you've been here many, many years. I know you from Derry Township and your family, and you've been someone who's given back to the community your whole life. So thank you for the great service that you provide, and Gayla, you're providing as well. Commissioner Hartwick has oversight of the Human Services for as long as I can remember. I started here in 2000 in the Security Department, and George, your passion for the Human Services and serving the residents of the county and not just the state of Pennsylvania, but also the country at NACO, your representation there and the Human Services is second to none, and I think you all know that by George's commitment to the work that's being done. The residents, the kids, they're so vulnerable, and you are the last line of defense for them. When nobody else will care about them or is there to help them, you're there, unified and strong on their behalf when they're in their time of greatest need. And we cannot be more thankful for the work that each and every one of you does. And today's about one person specifically getting the award, but I think she will agree that it's about everybody around her working together 24/7, 365 on behalf of our most vulnerable residents. And we as a board and we as a county cannot thank you enough for the great work that you have doing, are doing, and will continue to do on behalf of those vulnerable residents in our community. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Commissioner Priest. I just want to say thank you to the board members, to the leadership, Amanda and your team. This is a great opportunity, I think, to point out people who are doing good work in our county. And I think as we reflect on public service and the impact it has, even as we're reflecting on that nationwide now, I think a lot of people don't understand a lot of the people that make the trains go in their local communities that are doing things that maybe they're unaware of that are critical and important. And I just want to say I appreciate your service to Dauphin County and our residents. You are resourcing the under-resourced and you're protecting the most vulnerable. And that's critical work that you're doing. And I, for one, am incredibly thankful for your service and the service of your team and our entire department. So thank you for that. And I look forward to Commissioner Hartwick reading this proc and honoring you today.
Thank you, Commissioner. Just before I do so, I saw other board member Pamela Thompson who entered the room. So I just want to acknowledge and thank her for her advisory board role as well. And then finally, I think one of the things we passed an inspection most recently, which probably was one of the best inspections in my 20 years. Now, obviously, there's always room for significant. We are trying to do it from a diversity perspective. We're trying to do it from a community engagement perspective and be much more forward-facing. But I just want to commend all of you on the efforts and being able to meet what our primary duties are and regulatory requirements. It was a really an incredible testament to your work and the work of the advisory board. So with that, it is your day, Amanda, and we want to honor you. We, the Dauphin County Board of Commissioners, celebrate Employee of the Year, Amanda Ozenball, and the incredible work that she has done and continues to do. Whereas Amanda has been with the agency for over 20 years, exemplifying true dedication, determination, and passion for her job, where she has utilized her wealth of knowledge to mentor supervisors and train new caseworkers, creating a boot camp training guide for them, which it has helped to see an improvement in caseworkers' competence, productivity, and longevity since being implemented. Whereas when placed in charge of expanding the school outreach division, Amanda tackled it head on, onboarding Stilton Heights Fire School after one phone call and building a positive professional connection with them to help them make a difference for their students in need. Whereas Amanda is the backbone of the General Protective Services team with the passion and the true heart and soul to help anyone who is in need. A true team player who will drop anything to help her team and fellow co-workers, those that will work with her and would say that she was made to be and God created you to be a social worker. Therefore, we join with the 286,000 residents of Dauphin County in thanking Amanda for her tremendous work and effort in her position and celebrating her as Employee of the Year. We gladly proclaim March 5th as Amanda Ozenball Day in Dauphin County.
If I could just, I would like to say thank you to the Board of Commissioners for having me here today, the Advisory Board for choosing me, my administration, my team for all the support I get in the school outreach venture. It is truly my passion. I look forward to expanding. It's truly been an honor to be of service to the children and families of Dauphin County over the last 21 years, and I look forward to continuing it. And just thank you from the bottom of my heart. This is such an honor.
Oh, we're gonna get a photo with you.
Tried to hide.
One with her and one with the whole team.
I'd love to have my team in one if I could too. Kind words, I appreciate it.
All right, I guess we're gonna do it here. Right here, lined up in front of the.
Okay.
You were in the middle.
Okay.
Ladies, come on, let's
You
come on,
just tell me
ladies,
where to
make
go.
Line up, you gotta make 2 rows, we'll make 2 rows, but you were definitely in the middle and in the front.
Okay.
Let's get 2 rows maybe.
Yeah,
What do you think, Justin?
you mind if I squeeze it here?
Have her step up. I want to step up front. 2 rows. George, we gotta do 2 rows.
4.
We have to do 2 rows.
February. I just had my anniversary.
Yeah, just over there, yeah. Heather, you can be in front. Perfect. That's perfect.
You get everybody in?
Yeah.
Amanda, stay there. Just one like you.
Just one with, oh, okay. All right. You know, I'm supposed to go.
George, just one, just commissioner.
Sorry. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I appreciate that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations again to our children and youth Employee of the Year, Amanda. We are now going to move on to Human Resources, Faye Fisher.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Are there any questions that I can research for you on the salary board and personnel packets?
None for me.
Just that all of these in front of us fall within the budgeted numbers for 2025.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Are we looking for a motion on prison matters as we do sometimes in the workshop?
We do not need to take a vote on any of the transactions
Okay.
today.
All right. So this is for our information for next week. All right. Any questions for Faye? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Director of Budget and Finance, Mr. Davis. How are we doing, Chris?
I have no changes to the purchase order packet sent out yesterday. Everything will be ready for your vote approval next week.
Okay. Any questions? All right. Thank you, Mr. Davis. Chief Clerk's report, Mr. Pease.
Commissioners, I have nothing to report unless there are questions of me.
Any questions of Mr. Pease? All right. Hearing none. Solicitor's report, Mr. Owens.
Thank you, Commissioner. There are 4 items requiring board action. Those matters have been reviewed and approved by the Solicitor's Office. If there is any clarification needed on item 1, I stand ready to respond.
All right. At the time for approval, we'll have you clarify. Any questions of Solicitor Owens? All right. Hearing none. I got a training packet in front of me with 7 items. Do I have a motion for approval?
We're going to wait for that for next week.
Or are we waiting until next week, or is it needed for this week? Yeah, I was under
All
the
of those.
impression it needed.
So moved.
Was needed for today. Yeah.
I'll
So
take a look at
moved
this
by
real quick,
Commissioner Priest. Would you like a moment to review? I'll give you a second.
if I could. And I know there are things that normally happen that run up against the deadline, but all of these. Okay. I mean, we should set up a process where folks are trying to get these in advance. But there was
I'll
a
second the motion. Is there any discussion? Obviously, the discussion of getting these a little bit sooner.
Yeah, normally we have a week at least to review and to do that. So I would ask that we try to meet those sort of review timelines, but I will be supporting them.
Understood. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? None. Motion carries. All right, matters requiring board action. I want to begin by giving Solicitor Owens an opportunity to speak to item number 1, which is ratifying a decision made last week.
Thank you, Commissioner. Last week there was, I call it the illusion of confusion. There was no confusion, and I want to point that out today. This agreement was reviewed by the Solicitor's Office, and indeed what was placed on the agenda last week was accurate. Technically, it's a 5-year contract. The dollar amount, I can't remember, I don't have that in front of me, but that was accurate. What I tried to clarify and did clarify, we want to be precise here, is that you were technically voting on 3 years of that 5-year contract. That contract has an option, one option for an additional 2 years, but I wanted to clarify that. So, and Controller Bateman intelligently indicated that that dollar amount would change as well. But again, the 5-year amount is accurate. So there was no confusion on anybody's part. I just felt the need to clarify that so that the record was clear that you were voting on the 3-year portion of that contract.
Great. And it would come back to us for approval where we'd enact the 2-year option, correct?
The 1 2-year option, correct.
Understood. Thank you so much. Any questions of Solicitor Owens on that? We have 4 items before us. Do I have a motion for approval, or is there anything that needs to be pulled out? Motion for approval for the 4 items.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Motion carries. former business. We have no former business. Commissioners' comments. Commissioner Hartwick.
Yeah, I'll try to keep them as brief as possible. There's been a lot happening. The first one, we last week, as a result of efforts that we've undertaken for the last year, had at the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank, they actually revealed our hunger mapping report. We understand that there is, as we've seen, I've spent this weekend in D.C. An attempt to try to identify all areas of cuts, and SNAP benefits are clearly a part of those menu items. What we've discovered this weekend was that each committee has provided a host of menu options to try to get at this $4.5 trillion cut that is trying to be made by the administration in order to extend this 2017 Tax Cut and Jobs Act. Now, the 4.5 trillion would only extend that law. All of the other discussions around no taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime, the tax credits that would happen if you bring your manufacturing businesses back, those are in addition to that 4.5 trillion. So, I want to make this clear. That's 4.5 trillion just to extend the 2017 Jobs Act and Tax Cut Act. Anything in addition to that is going to take, God bless you, additional spending. Additional cuts or additional spending. So I think the total cumulative amount of those additional tax cuts were over $5 trillion. So they even exceeded the amount that they're attempting to try to get to here, which means for this administration, everything's on the table. And as a part of taking a look at that, the strategy from the federal side has been, let's tell you, here's where all the spend is from all these committees. And we'll find out, as you start to put these ideas out there, who's going to sort of respond in a way that is going to create some level of political pressure, because make no mistake about it, there's an intent to cut. We believe, that SNAP is one of those areas, but I'll have just a short conversation about Medicaid in a moment. But from our perspective, we had the foresight to know that we may not be in a position to have federal dollars in the future. We have got to put our food serving systems, when it comes to essential, life-saving issues, in the most efficient way we possibly can to ensure that we still meet the demand of people who are in need of food. And that demand is pretty high in Dauphin County. Out of 286,000 residents, it's been defined that 32,200 individuals in our county are food insecure. But more alarming than that, there is 12,400 children that every day that are food insecure in Dauphin County, which is even more concerning to me. Obviously, even with the expansion of the free lunch program by Governor Shapiro, we still have major deficiencies. And one of the things that we should all stand for is to ensure that kids are adequately receiving nutrition. You can't think, you can't live, you can't do things unless you are appropriately fed and have the appropriate level of nutrition in your body. You're thinking about survival. So these issues are critically important for us. The Central Pennsylvania Food Bank asked several questions, and I'll read just the questions for you, and I won't go detailed in the report. Anybody who is wanting to follow up on the hunger mapping report, and this is going to be important because not all resources are going to be distributed the same way. We've got to figure out to deal with the most efficient way to deliver these food sources in a way that's going to feed the most critical needs. But they talked about what is the extent of the food insecurity in Dauphin County and where is it concentrated. And you can see by the mapping where it's concentrated. It's in northern Dauphin County and, in Harrisburg, Steelton, Susquehanna, and that corridor, portions of Lower Paxton. Who in Dauphin County is most impacted by food insecurity? How does food insecurity rates and the main drivers of food insecurity differ by age, race, ethnicity, or other factors? How accessible is charitable and retail food throughout Dauphin County, and how does access vary in different areas of the county? How does access vary, if all, by demographics? And we were in a room full of volunteers, which was great. Literally, there were so many people that do this work and without pay because they care, and they are the real heroes of our community every day. And they've been a part of this mapping structure and the delivery of these things, I think, in a better way than government for far long. But we also say, what barriers do neighbors face in accessing charitable food services? Where do food distribution and access gaps exist in Dauphin County? What is the neighbor experience at food pantries like? What are the utilization rates of key government nutrition-related assistance programs, and how do they vary across the county? What other issues impact food insecurity in Dauphin County, and what can the charitable food system and other relevant stakeholders do better to address the root causes of food insecurity and also most efficiently distribute those resources? So that's all included. This is an up-to-date report, and this board had used some dollars from the federal side in order to provide the report. Just secondly, and I'm trying to be quick, I talked about the cuts in DC. There's some real concerns, especially in areas that impact counties, and I want to focus just on those really quickly. The areas from the legislative conference that we believe are the short-term federal priorities for counties are: number one, disaster reform is going to change. FEMA appears to be bankrupt and inept with trying to get money out following the increasing natural disasters that are happening in this country. There is an attempt to put together a task force. Actually, our president, James Gore, who's from Sonoma County, who's led the issue in wildfires in California, actually put together a task force before this. But there's going to be a different way to distribute FEMA resources. And I think we've got to talk about it. It's going to change the role of the federal government in the recovery process. And it is going to put, we want to make sure that it's just not a cost shift from the federal government that's going to try to step up and assist in disaster areas to locals who are going to now have to do more with fewer resources. But the key is we're advocating that counties have a seat on that table, and particularly in the area of 911. Secure rural schools for those individuals who have schools that have timber that has funded those schools. There's a federal component to secure rural schools. It doesn't exist in Dauphin County, but it does exist throughout Pennsylvania, and I know that is a federal crisis in some of those counties that are impacted. Counties and Medicaid, again, the proposed cuts on Medicaid are dramatic. I want to remind people that the majority of Medicaid residents live in rural America. It's not a clearly defined urban problem. And as I've talked to both our Senate folks here in Pennsylvania, and as we talked to yesterday, Senator Fetterman, Senator McCormick, and all of those who would listen, we were telling them the blowback on this is going to be huge. I mean, it's disproportionately going to impact the direct benefits of folks who are struggling right now to access healthcare in rural communities. There's not going to be a new employer-led healthcare system. So again, is this simply just a cost shift from a federal Medicaid system that, quite frankly, whether it's the best system or not, we have a rich plan in Pennsylvania, but who is going to provide the insurance for these folks who are now kicked off of Medicaid? And I don't know if I've not seen any insurance plan that's going to pick these folks up. And I also understand the impact on us in Pennsylvania related to our behavioral health managed care organization and how we need to provide behavioral health and drug and alcohol services, which we have as a county-led effort. Finally, two more. Tax-exempt municipal bonds are a big and critical area. They are going to eliminate the ability for local governments to issue tax-exempt bonds. And there's this big misconception, and I'm going to tell you what folks are looking for: the ability to capture revenue back. This is I think $356 billion revenue grab. If you take tax-exempt bonds out, the federal government recovers those dollars. The problem is the people that invest in this isn't largely Wall Street. The safe municipal bond investors are retirees who are, quite frankly, depending upon an investment that's going to pay out a predictable amount at the time where they need it most during the retirement. This is not sort of a grab from Wall Street. This is a grab from, retirees. And it's also limits local government's ability for us to be able to issue financing for projects like we have just issued some level of financing for, as well as economic development for those regions. They're also attacking the state and local tax deduction, which we've had a long talk back to the 1913 original Tax Act, which has always been a legal deduction that's been able to be taken, again, having an impact on those individuals that I believe need to be aware of how it's going to impact them. And then finally, the cuts to human services, which are SNAP, TANF, and 4D, 4E, and areas that have an impact on both child welfare and our ability to provide services. So those are Just in a nutshell, the areas that are under attack, we're going to need every hand on deck to be able to talk about what the impacts are going to be to ensure that if we're not advocating and if we are not being loud and very clear in who this is going to affect, we will be on the menu. And I'm glad that we are participating on the federal and state level to ensure that we've got a plan and we are prepared to fight back. So and that ends my report.
Thank you, Commissioner. I just want to start off on a somber note and express this board's condolences and sadness on the passing of a former longtime county employee in our facility maintenance department. He was the electrician for several decades here, David Bidding, who passed away unexpectedly recently. What an incredible employee, his expertise, professionalism, and kindness that he showed to all that he encountered while working here as a county employee over the years was second to none. Did a great job for us. I want to express again our condolences to his family and friends, and I appreciate my colleagues. We're going to send flowers to the family, and Dave was a longtime member of the Dauphin County family who just retired within a few short years ago, but the word has passed quickly through many departments here in the county and throughout municipalities, because this guy touched a lot of lives, not just as a county employee, but he was very involved in the arts and leisure, and was a thespian, well known throughout the county and the region. And he's an individual whose passing will leave a very large gap in the lives of many folks throughout Dauphin County. So I wanted to start off with that, and then I want to thank Vince Pease. Vince, thank you for reaching out on the board's behalf to the folks at Hope Springs Farms, and you provided assistance to their questions related to residential licenses. So I appreciate you doing that on our behalf over the last couple of days. And want to thank my colleagues. They both attended NACO on the county's behalf and came back with a lot of good ideas, as you just heard Commissioner Hartwick state, and I know Commissioner Douglas came back with some good ideas as well, and hopefully we can implement some of those into our county practices and procedures. Thank you.
I want to speak a little bit to from Friday to yesterday. Commissioner Hartwick and I were in D.C. For NACO, National Association of Counties. He sits on many boards, even including the NACO board of directors. I sit on Justice and Public Safety Committee, and we get an opportunity to advocate for Pennsylvania and Dauphin County specifically at the national level. We had an opportunity yesterday to meet with the Pennsylvania federal delegation in meetings, and always thankful for the opportunity to champion Dauphin County at the federal level with our federal delegation. Federal money for Dauphin County residents. It's something that my colleague just spoke to, that we're going to have a strategy for, how we ensure that necessary dollars that, really are programs that are very meaningful to our residents remain. One of the things we did yesterday as we talked with the federal delegation was we talked about Wildwood Lake and the impact it would have to receive looking for the Army Corps of Engineers to provide opportunity there for us to dredge that lake and create some plans to change flooding zones, floodplain zones, where we could see a massive economic increase through the Cameron Corridor. Talking to our federal delegation about earmarks that have already been there, but hopefully stay there. Rapid transit, of course, which has a massive impact in Dauphin County and the surrounding counties, ensuring that the transfer station that we're working on there will continue to receive the funding that's necessary for that. I'm very passionate about unhoused issues, and we've been working through the federal government to try to see what options exist for our unhoused. So just important to recognize that we see it as a collaborative effort to try to work with obviously the state and the federal government to ensure that Dauphin County is has the opportunity to pull down these dollars that are necessary to get the job done. My colleague mentioned some concerns about cuts. And certainly I want to emphasize that I'm monitoring some of the Doge cuts, especially here locally, learning that we do have employees that have lost their jobs that are in the federal government here in Dauphin County now. As that continues, I'm information gathering right now. I'm not, I want to make sure I have all the information and understand what's happening. But that and the impact of the tariffs on some of our local businesses, as that information comes in, I certainly want to be advocating for Dauphin County and our residents. I see that as my job as a commissioner to ensure that our the individuals here are protected, are centered, their stories, their experiences, especially those who are experiencing now the loss of a job or the increased what these tariffs might do to their business, especially if they're high in exports, and what these tariffs are ultimately going to do, potentially to all residents of Dauphin County as costs continue to rise. So that's something I'm passionate about. I know Commissioner Harwood might have wanted to say more. I want to give him a chance to share any more that he might
Really
have.
quickly, I think it's really important in the environment we're in, where we hear all of this division. And hey, I think the one thing that I want to make sure that this board prides itself in moving forward, and the relationships that we built have been, these folks, regardless of whether we believe philosophically or not, and the stances they take, they still have an obligation to support Dauphin County residents. And I want to thank, both Senator McCormick, Senator Fetterman, and Congressman Perry for spending the time yesterday with us and actually listening to the level of requests that we've had, and being able to look at them not as red or blue, but to look at them as how can we be impactful in our jobs to advocate for our residents. So in a time where the temperatures way up, I saw a willingness to cooperate yesterday related to issues that are important to us, that I believe is worth highlighting, because the screaming and shouting is always loud, but I think the idea of trying to work together and say, let's share credit, let's bring these resources back, because I assure you, if they're not fighting for those resources in sort of a consolidated way for us, it's going somewhere else, folks. It will be going to other areas. And I think we have got to work closely to ensure that we've got game plans and constant communication and engagement to ensure that our priorities are being heard and followed through with on the federal level. So I just want to take the time to thank all of those elected officials for both their willingness to sit down and meet, and also advocate and move forward the projects that we were talking about yesterday. So
Thank you, Commissioner Harwood.
didn't have as much success on Medicaid and other things, but at least related to the other projects, we tried. But the project specific to Dauphin County, we got nothing but great feedback from all three of those officials.
Yep. All right, at this time, we'll open it for public participation. Just a reminder, we are live streamed. There's a 3-minute cap on public participation. Anyone for public participation?
Owner Ruth Osai, Swatera Township. I want to say thank you both for finally talking about the reality we are all facing right now. It is absolutely terrifying what is going on in this country. And I am glad that you're calling attention to it. And I hope that by you guys calling attention to it from up there, that it is going to alert our community that we need to do exactly what you said, Commissioner Hartwick. And it's going to take a whole heck of a lot of us to fight this crap happening, because there are very real people who are being hurt right now. And a lot of you guys know that I don't care about party at all. I care about getting stuff done for people in our community. And so I just want to thank you for going and talking to people about it, and also just saying out loud what a crisis we are in right now. It is time for yelling. It is. And I know last week I yelled a lot, but it is a very serious issue. I wanted to name one thing you didn't mention, but I have been tracking, which is Social Security. I have 2 parents on Social Security that I caretake for, and my mother's on dialysis. My father has a traumatic brain injury and is an immigrant. It's like a whole thing. It is going to be very real if our Social Security collapses because there's a ketamine fueled billionaire and his little team of minions digging into the affairs of the biggest economic systems in the world right now that would devastate our senior community. And I want to call attention to one of the county's biggest oversights is the county jail. And one thing we already know is that it is full of people who already needed help for they are what is the word I say, they're the sickest and the oldest jail population that we've seen. This is going to get significantly worse, and this county is directly responsible for their care and has already not done a spectacular job, as we all know. I think that one thing we have to think about, and I'm glad we're being proactive about it, is making sure that we do not continue to just fill that up because we will have so many more unhoused people. We have to do something. Any monies that can be put from something that we were going to earmark here, I know festivals, all these other things, but like people are going to starve. People are not going to get food. And so, again, thank you. Thank you for bringing it up here as elected officials from your powerful position up here on this dais. Thank you for bringing it up and calling it attention for our community. Have a great day.
Anyone else for public comment? Seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
You waiting? So moved.
All right, so moved by Commissioner Harwick. I will second it. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned.